Mike Bohn here at Sanford MMA with Michael Chandler, who is just weeks away from fighting for the vacant UFC lightweight title against Charles Oliveira, UFC 262, man. It's almost here. How's it feel?
It is almost here, man. It feels great, honestly. I feel like I'm 1 week out. You know, everything's clicking, movement, power, speed, weight is on point. So ahead of schedule, obviously down here with my team and coaches down here at Sanford MMA, and had a phenomenal camp thus far, and I'm excited to go out there and win that strap.
Yeah, is this the point where you really start peaking and it really start all coming together?
Yeah, I think more at this point. You know, I actually just took 3 days off. I went back to Nashville and took Friday night off, Saturday off completely, Sunday off completely, kind of that mid-camp couple days off. So came in today on Monday fully fresh. Weight is on point, especially after taking 3 days off, that's a very good sign. Right now it's just, man, train with the people that you know, love, and trust. Listen to your coaches, continue to fine-tune that game plan. You know, when you've been in the game as long as I have, there's not a ton of big tweaks that you need to make. You know, what got me to the, into the UFC and then beating Dan Hooker and now fighting for the title is the same stuff I've done over the last 12 years. So just keep enjoying the process, keep doing the little things right. They compound every single day. We show up on May 15th and put on a phenomenal performance. I think it's going to be my best performance yet.
And I remember we talked on the verge of your UFC debut the night before, like just hours before, yeah. And man, you were just so excited. And it seemed like it was almost a surreal feeling then. But now that you're fighting for the title and just your second fight, like, is that even more unreal to you? I mean, I know this is kind of what you visioned and what you spoke, but it's actually happening this fast.
It is, and truth be told, I didn't ask for any of that. I obviously I wanted to come in and get a top 5 guy right away, and that was either. It could have been a very positive thing or a very negative thing, I think by me asking for a top 5 guy right away, that would immediately either solidify me as being exactly who I say I am, or being a guy who was the outsider, the B-leaguer, the guy who couldn't hang with the guys in the UFC. I think I proved that at UFC 257. And, I just think in that moment, the night before the fight, I've never been so confident. I've never been so poised, never been so just calm and just feeling like I'm exactly right where I need to be at the exact moment. And this door to the UFC opened up at the exact right time, and everything is clicking. And I turned 35 this weekend, and I still feel like a 25-year-old. I still feel like a white belt. I still feel like I just started. Signing with the UFC has given me a new lease on life and a new invigorated soul to be able to go out there and not just perform well, but to perform exponentially more and better than I ever have been in the past. I'm taking all the limits off, all the blinders off, and going to go out there and win.
So how did this fight come together from your perspective? Because the announcement was made by Dana, I guess, after his meeting with Khabib that he is officially giving up the title, officially retired, and then it was like just minutes later until this fight news came out. So what communication were they giving to you when this really came all together and was announced?
It was it was interesting. I mean, the May 15th date was a date that I had to get a couple medical issues in order to make sure I would have been okay for May 15th. Once I got that go ahead, we were set on May 15th. And then once we got that date, obviously it's no secret. The top 5, you got Conor and Poirier, who are tied up, who are going to do the trilogy, and then you had myself, Gaethje, and Oliveira. That was pretty much going to be two of those 3 fighting each other. So both of those names were possibilities. And then I got a call about 48 hours before that announcement that, hey, what would you think about May 15th, Charles Oliveira for the title? And of course the answer was yes. Didn't hear anything for 24 hours, didn't hear anything for another day, and I was like, these guys playing a joke on me? My wife and I were like, when are we going to hear something? And all of a sudden, literally, it got announced, and then boom, Brett Okamoto actually texted me. It was like, hey, did you see the news that just came out? And I was like, whoa, man, because he had the story, and it was, it was surreal. I mean, when I got the phone call, obviously it was like, tears of joy with my wife. We were in San Diego already on vacation, had not planned on me coming down to Florida that following Monday. But when you're a worker, man, when you're a blue-collar worker, you strap your work boots on whenever the boss calls, and that's what we did, and came down here to Florida. Been training down for 4 weeks, and man, like I said, camp's going very good, and I think May 15th is going to be a great night.
So I know there was some talk of it being you and Gaethje. Do you think the reason they went with Oliveira is because you are 2 guys that never fought Khabib, and it's kind of that fresh coat of paint? No one can say, Khabib just beat these guys more or less. It's a guy who never fought him. It's a new champion, and the UFC doesn't really have that lingering thing hanging over this fight.
That would make sense. That's not a conversation I have with the UFC. It's not a conversation I've even had with my management. Never really I guess never was a consideration. I think it was really me, Oliveira, and Gaethje who were kind of in that in that talk. But I don't know what happened with Gaethje. There was never actually a fight offered to me like, hey, you're going to fight Gaethje. I think it was just, I mean, Gaethje's name has been thrown around 28 times in the last 8 months, you know. Gaethje's always been a guy I've had my sights on. All the guys in the top 5 were, though, you know. So, I don't know. It just came together like that. I didn't ask questions. I just said yes, and here we are.
Yeah, and obviously you are fighting Charles Oliveira, who's a guy who's come a very long way, like yourself, had a really long road to this first UFC title shot. What are the challenges with this guy? I mean, we know his jiu-jitsu is unbelievable. His striking has come a long way. Do you kind of just have to prepare yourself for danger in every element here?
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's no secret. He's one of the best jiu-jitsu technicians on the entire planet. You know, I think he's got the record for most UFC submissions. So that's great. It's something to be a little bit weary of, something to be a little bit nervous about, something to wake you up in the morning to say, hey, today we're going to get better in these positions. But truth be told, like I said in the very beginning, I'm going to do the exact same thing I've done over the last 12 years, which is focus 80-90% on myself. How do I put myself in the best situation, the easiest and most violent path to victory with myself, my coaches, my training partners, to say, hey, these are my attributes, these are my strengths, this is where I can work on certain things, turn those weaknesses into strengths, and then, hey, Charles Oliveira poses a threat here, here, and here. We're going to work on these couple things. He's a consummate veteran. He spent a ton of time inside the UFC octagon. He's obviously got the veteranship in the UFC. He's got the experience in the UFC, head and shoulders above myself. But when it comes to mixed martial arts competition, fighting inside championship rounds and fighting inside championship type of pressure scenarios, I've been there a ton of times, and my past has prepared me for this opportunity. And I think right there, UFC 262 in Houston, Texas, you're going to see the American wearing the stars and bars get the gold belt.
And I know you had said, I believe in an interview, like right when the fight was booked, that you are expecting him to break. You've seen it out from him before in other fights, and you're looking to find that moment. What does that actually look like inside the cage? What are you looking for when you see him fold and kind of know, I have this?
You know, I mean, a lot of it has to do, and really that's been my MO since I started hand-to-hand combat when I was 14 years old. You know, high school wrestling, college wrestling, and now mixed martial arts. I'm well-versed inside the microcosm of two guys, mano a mano with a referee under a specific rule set, and it's really just going out there from the initial exchange, from the first couple exchanges. Don't let him set the pace, get in his face, and quite frankly, I love when a guy comes at me because it puts me right in range to land big shots, land takedowns, get submissions, do whatever I need to do, because guys get overzealous, and I'm just as dangerous in all of the positions as Charles Oliveira is, I believe. But, you know, it's not a knock at him. He's a fast starter. He does tend to fade every now and then. So the good thing is I can keep a high pace for 25 minutes, and that's the plan. Hope for him to break, hope for him to tuck his tail between his legs, hope for him to give up, but always be prepared for him for us to see the toughest 25 minutes that Charles Oliveira has ever put together, because the stakes are higher. It's a championship fight. This is a young kid who had a glimmer in his eye 20 years ago from Brazil, who thought, hey man, maybe I want to be a UFC champion someday. Now he gets his opportunity. It's just so happens he's going to run into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, and this is a great card on May 15th. I'm sure you were really excited when they added Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards, because that's just going to elevate the eyes on you guys. But obviously a big lightweight fight on this card too, between Tony Ferguson and Beneil Dariush. Just give me your thoughts on that matchup.
I mean, yeah, it's a great card, top to bottom. Actually, my favorite fighter on the roster, Shane Burgos, is fighting Edson Barboza. I love watching that dude fight, so I'm excited to see him on fight week, and probably won't get to really watch him fight much, but because I'll be back there warming up. But yeah, I mean, you got Tony Ferguson, who's on a couple fight skid, and Beneil Dariush, who's surging. You know, the UFC lightweight division right now is it's a great time to be a part of it, because it's electrifying, man. There's a lot of great matchups. There's a lot of great fighters, a lot of great talent. Guys outside the top 10 surging in, guys from the upper, 10, 9, 8, 7 surging in, trying to get into that top 5. So I think we've seen some comments from Tony Ferguson talking about him making some changes and starting to, quote unquote, take the sport a little bit more seriously, or being in a little bit more of a better headspace. So we'll see if we see a better Tony Ferguson. I still think he's one of the scariest guys on the roster from an unorthodox kind of unexpected scenarios that he kind of puts guys in, and just kind of, he's just an interesting puzzle to figure out. So Beneil Dariush, a little bit more basic, but still very dangerous. So it'll be a great matchup, and then we'll have a little bit more continued clarity as the UFC lightweight division continues to move forward. When we see the winner of that fight, I go out there, hopefully take business against Charles Oliveira. I'll be cage side July 10th. Hope probably seeing my next opponent when Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor fight.
Yeah, and I know you had said when McGregor and Poirier were going through their little spat and McGregor said he was going to fight someone else, I'll turn around and I'll be the one in that cage on July 10th. Is this a little bit of trolling of Dustin Poirier too? I mean, I saw the video you posted on your Instagram. This makes me, and correct me if I'm wrong, like kind of the prodding at Dustin maybe makes me feel like you think he's going to win, and because I'm not seeing you really trying to push Conor in that same way.
No, truth be told, man, this is a lightweight division full of guys, right? And Conor has not said one negative thing about me. Conor really hasn't really said my name at all. Yeah. Not that that's a good thing or a bad thing. Poirier has, and that's fine. If he can have his opinion of me, I haven't earned it, or he would rather sell hot sauce than fight me for the title, or it's fool's gold if we win, or whatever. I'm a company guy or whatnot. But so it was more directed at him, just because that he's been the guy who's kind of said the most. And man, he's got a big fight ahead of him. He's got the biggest fight of his life ahead. Finishing a trilogy with Conor McGregor is the biggest thing he's got on his plate. Then again, I should be more worried about Charles Oliveira, I guess, because I'm fighting Charles Oliveira in 4 weeks. But it's an interesting lightweight division, full of characters, full of great fighters, full of world-class athletes, and I'm excited to be a part of it. Excited to ruffle a little bit of feathers, and I'm not afraid. I said when I came into this organization, I didn't just want to join the party. I wanted to kick down the door and come in and make myself known, and that's what I've tried to do, and I've left no stone unturned here inside the gym, and that's the most important thing. So I'm getting better as an athlete, getting better as a fighter, and then social media stuff and the hoopla, the circus, the show, the entertainment value. Man, I think I spent 12 years outside the UFC being underutilized and underseen, I think. So now I'm just having fun with it. This is the time of my life. Like I said, I got a new spirit about me, a new an invigorated spirit to be able to just have fun with it, man, and not take this sport too seriously. We're all tough guys. We all fight in a cage for a living, okay? We don't need the tough guy shtick is unbecoming to most of the fans these days anyway. They want to know that you're a normal human being, you got a sense of humor, you're kind of funny, and you kick butt inside the cage. So that's what I'm trying to be.
And I was at the Triller event last weekend, and I saw Conor McGregor's manager, Audio Tar, there, and I asked him about this fight. He said it only makes sense for the winner of McGregor and Poirier to fight the winner of you and Oliveira. Is that the way you see it? I mean, I think Dustin, if he wins again, would be more than deserving, and then we know what Conor brings to the table in terms of star power and everything. Is that kind of what you're circling as the number one contender?
I would say, I mean, listen, I'm even when I win the title on May 15th, I'm not going to be the guy who's calling shots. I might be the champion, I might hold the belt, but I'm not going to be the guy who's calling shots. But you just look at the rankings, you look at the body work and the resume of Dustin Poirier. He's the obvious number one guy right now. He chose to take the money fight and pass up on the opportunity to fight for the title. So if he does beat Conor, he's the obvious number one choice. But if Conor beats the number one guy, plus how big of a name he is, plus the star power of himself, plus when Conor's on and Conor's chasing the title, there's not a spectacle more exciting, I think, in sports. So he goes out there and runs through Dustin, or even beats Dustin in a dominant fashion. I think that makes him the number one contender, and I'll be holding the belt, and I'll be there in Vegas, I'm sure. Excited to see who I'm going to fight probably later on in this year or first of next year.
And I have to ask, since I was at the Triller show, I know you felt Ben Askren was going to get the job done against Jake Paul. What did you think when you actually saw the way that fight played out?
I stand corrected. I love Ben. Man, Ben is like a big brother to me. Him and Tyron Woodley are the two guys that single-handedly got me into the sport and the reason I'm standing here right now. I thought Ben would be able to kind of close the distance a little bit more, keep his hands up, kind of hopefully not get hit with the big shots, but I was absolutely wrong. Ben was never a great boxer. He was never in 6 weeks going to be able to be a good boxer. Ben's a phenomenal athlete. He's an Olympian. He's a Hodge Trophy winner, NCAA champion, phenomenal resume, but boxing is not his strong suit. He knew that. Jake Paul knew that. Everybody knew that. So it was fun. It was entertaining while it lasted. Even all the lead up and all that kind of stuff up to the fight. It was good for them guys. I hope they both, made a great chunk of change that night. And, we'll see what happens with the next Triller event. Yeah,
it was definitely an interesting show to be at. I can say that much.
Thank God for UFC Vegas 24. So I was able to just keep going and watching real fights, because it was 2 hours of strippers and bad rap music. So no offense to you guys, but yeah, I'm just not really into that. You know, I paid $49 just to watch Ben and Jake Paul fight because I watched nothing else. But you know, they're doing their thing. There's a market there, obviously. I think, you know, we'll see what happens with the future of that organization.
Yeah, I know Tyron Woodley wants to fight him now, too. He's pushing hard for that.
Now, Tyron would beat the crap out of Jake Paul. Jake Paul's going to stay very far away from that. And his wannabe sidekick guy, you know, that was just so cringe watching that dude saying, oh, yeah, we're in the same industry. And I just can't believe Tyron didn't say, bro, we ain't even in the same league. We shouldn't even be standing in the same room, let alone you saying we're in the same industry. But we'll see. It'll be entertaining no matter what. If I buy the pay-per-view, I won't watch all the strippers and the freaking rap music, but I'll watch the main event most likely.
Fair enough. And last thing, I know you're probably going to get this question a ton over the next few weeks, but it's been such a long road to this UFC title fight, to this moment. What do you think it's going to feel like when you get the job done? Dana White puts that belt around your waist, your hand is raised, and it's just everything you've worked towards comes to fruition. Man, I hate to. I don't want to make it sound like I want to downplay it whatsoever. But it's. I feel like there's so much more after this fight, and I'm never the guy who gets. I'm never a guy who's going to be complacent. I'm never going to be a guy who's going to be satisfied. It will feel very, very, very good, and I will cry. I'm sure. I will. You know, my wife will be there. Finally, my wife will be able to be there. My dad will be able to be in my corner. My mom will be able to be there. Obviously, my coaches will be able to be there. But I haven't seen those guys. Haven't been to one of my fights in almost a year now. So it'll be nice to be able to share that with them. So we'll enjoy it for a week. I'll give myself a week, but man, man, I just feel like there's so many more big fights that are going to happen at lightweight. There's some fights at welterweight. There's some big fights on the horizon. So just got to get the job done May 15th, and it will feel absolutely amazing. I think the road that I took, the practicing of patience, the swallowing of my pride for many years, and you know, being underutilized, I think, as one of the best lightweights on the planet, and it's going to feel really good. But we'll meet with the UFC brass after. We'll figure out what's next. We probably won't know until July 10th, obviously. So we'll see. Awesome. You'll have a couple months to enjoy it there. So obviously it's great to be here. Great to get the chance to watch you train a little bit. Really appreciate you taking some time, and best of luck with the rest of camp, and happy early birthday.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.